If you hear it, you're already dead. The message was smeared on the wall in thick, dark blood, a sinister promise to anyone who dared to step into the infamous room 201. The old hotel was a decaying monument to forgotten nightmares, long abandoned by those who once sought shelter within its walls. Room 201 was the source of the darkest tales, whispered in hushed tones by those who knew better than to venture near. But Lydia, driven by a morbid curiosity, had to know the truth. The door groaned as it swung open, revealing a space drenched in darkness. A rancid, metallic smell assaulted her senses, so potent it made her gag. The walls, barely visible in the flickering light, were covered in crimson handprints, smeared and streaked as if someone had desperately tried to escape. The air was thick with an oppressive silence, broken only by a faint, distant sound. A low, guttural hum that seemed to come from deep within the walls. Lydia hesitated, but something compelled her to move forward, her heart pounding in her chest. As she stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind her, sealing her fate. Panic seized her, and she spun around. But the door wouldn't budge. The hum grew louder, more resonant, vibrating through her bones. "Get out, or it will take you." The voice was barely a whisper, yet it echoed all around her, sending chills down her spine. Lydia's eyes were drawn to a figure in the corner, slumped against the wall. It was a man, or what was left of him. His body was twisted in unnatural angles, his face frozen in a rictus of pure terror, his mouth open in a silent scream. Blood oozed from deep gashes, pooling around his lifeless form. Before Lydia could react, the lights overhead flickered violently, casting distorted shadows across the room. The humming grew more intense, now a deafening roar that shook the walls. It was as if the room itself was alive, breathing, pulsating with a malevolent energy. A scream pierced the air, high-pitched and agonizing. A sound so full of pain it made Lydia's blood run cold. It wasn't the man. The scream was coming from somewhere deeper, somewhere she couldn't see. She backed away, her eyes wide with terror, but the room seemed to stretch, warping and shifting, trapping her within its grasp. The walls began to close in, the crimson handprints growing darker, more defined. They moved, writhing as if trying to crawl off the walls, leaving trails of blood in their wake. Lydia's breath came in short, panicked gasps as the room seemed to shrink around her. "Run! It's too late." The voice was no longer a whisper, but a frenzied chant. Lydia turned to the door, frantically clawing at it, but it wouldn't open. Her nails scratched against the wood, leaving bloody streaks as she screamed for help, but there was no one to hear. The room was alive with sound now, moans, whispers, and that dreadful hum, all blending into a chaotic symphony of despair. The shadows on the walls grew darker, thicker, until they began to take shape. Faces emerged from the darkness, contorted in agony, their eyes hollow and soulless. One by one, they began to speak, their voices merging into a single, terrifying chorus. "If you hear it, you're already dead." Suddenly, the walls split open, revealing gaping wounds that bled freely. From the depths of these wounds emerged a creature, a grotesque, blood-soaked entity with twisted limbs and a gaping maw lined with razor-sharp teeth. It crawled towards Lydia, dragging its bloated, rotting body across the floor, leaving a trail of blood and viscera in its wake.